all of you darlings who have kept faith with us thus far, especially to those of you who keep utilizing the short code we sent to you just a few days ago to pay the TV license fee. We want to encourage you to keep doing it. There's a lot of work to be done, and we are still committed to that charge. It's star 447 star 333 hash. Star 447 star 333 hash is the short code for you to pay your TV license. I want to say massive shouts to those of you who are paying and sending evidence of that already. Thank you for those who have paid. Ohene Danso, I'm watching you right now. I'm seeing your prompt on our WhatsApp number right now. You've just sent us proof that you've paid 36 Ghana cedis for your one television set. Ohene Danso, thank you for keeping the faith. You can also do same and send evidence of that to our WhatsApp number 055-55-61034. This is Breakfast on GTV. We are talking youth empowerment now. Youth Action Movement Ghana, Yam-Gh, was formed in 2003 as the youth wing of Planned Parenthood Association of Ghana, PPAG. Yam-Ghana advocates for and on behalf of young people's sexual and reproductive health and rights and other challenges facing the youth in Ghana. Having successfully endured the rather challenging cultural and socio-economic circumstances impacting its work, the movement is today proud to celebrate 2 decades of executing its ongoing mandate. And the celebration is under the theme, 2 decades of action, fostering youth leadership, partnership and advocacy for SRHR and community development. One of the major cankers being tackled by Yam-Ghana is child marriage, which is a form of sexual or gender-based violence. So to help us understand what the 20-year journey has been like for Yam-Ghana, we have in the studio 2 of their activists. Caesar Kogoziga is the PPAG Youth Programs Coordinator. Caesar, thank you for making the time to join us today. He is here with Magdalene Dotto, the Yam National Treasurer. Magdalene, thank you for joining us again. I'll start with you, Magdalene. What's the vision here? Because I'm seeing a number of things. You're talking about the challenges facing young people in Ghana. We are talking about cultural and socioeconomic barriers that young people have to deal with. But you're also talking ending gender-based violence. And then there's the whole sexual rights thing. So there's a lot going on. Clarify that for us.
Okay, like you rightly said, my name is Magdalene Dotto. I'm the National Treasurer for the Youth Action Movement here in my country. We have a simple vision, that is to create an enabling environment for young people where they can express their sexual and reproductive health rights freely without any form of discrimination. So basically, everything we are doing falls under sexual and reproductive health. You know, human existence, there's no human existence without sexual and reproductive health. So everything we are doing, our mandate, our core mandate is to create that safe space, youth-free, friendly space for young people to express their sexual and reproductive health needs.
Is it working though? Are young people now better able to communicate the challenges that they have in respect to all these areas that we've mentioned? Is it getting easier?
Well, I would say the journey has not been easy. So far as mobilization of young people have to come to place where we train young people, build their capacity, and then we push them to the communities. Myself, I'm like a living testimony to that, because I remember I joined the movement at a very young age, and my capacity has been built from the grassroots engagements, and now moving on to the national, being a national executive. So I think that from where I stand, a lot of young people have been engaged and their capacities are built to go out there to make the impacts, and we are seeing changes.
Caesar, what has been the most topical issue? You've mentioned child marriage as one of the focal points for this year's celebration. Why that?
Yes, thank you very much. So the Youth Action Movement, just like its mother organization, PPAG, basically wants to create a space where silent issues that really matter are discussed. And so you see issues like issues of gender, which has a relation with gender-based violence, including rape, defilement, and all of those things that are often not spoken about, even though the victims are suffering. And because of these things, the Youth Action Movement, which is the youth wing of PPAG, is creating that space for a more friendly engagement with young people in their own space so that they're able to express themselves. And through these things, we identify the challenges that the young people face and try to solve them. Over the years, we have been identifying themes for the year, each year, that becomes a focus for our work. We have done this for 20 years, like you have said already. And this year, we emphasize on gender-based violence. Last year, we emphasized on gender-based violence as well. Since COVID, we've actually been emphasizing on that because it created a more enabling environment to engage in these things, because people came up more and more. Issues of defilement, even rape, even couple were suffering in the time of lockdown. So we started that engagement since then. And this year, we are narrowing down on child marriage. The reason is that even though all the other challenges are very important, we still do not understand why parents and communities can sit down and give children away for marriage. Even adults know the implications of marriage and the things that come with it. And for parents who know these things, for community leaders who know these things, and they know that the child's body is not developed enough, for instance, to carry a pregnancy, to even take care of a family, and pushing children to be mothers of children, then our society cannot get where we want to get.
So are we using the legal definition of a child, that anyone who's below the age of 18 years? Is that really still happening? People don't believe that the numbers are increasing. Is it what you're telling us? Are they going up?
So there are a lot of implications. So most of the times when you see a rise in teenage pregnancy, suspect that there can be a rise in child marriage, because you know how societies deal with teenage pregnancies, where when a child gets pregnant, 17, 16 years, the responsibility of parents is shifted to the one who is supposedly responsible for the pregnancy. And most of the times, these people are pushed into the houses of such people. And even though it is not a documented marriage, it is a marriage, because there is a legal definition of marriage, where if you stay with somebody, cohabit for that person for about 6 months, the person can legally call you a partner. And what happens is that from that point onwards, these people are unable to pursue their educational dreams. They are not able to go through what they wanted to do for themselves. Aside that, there are still cultural norms and practices that implicate us as young people. For instance, there are still people who use their kids to pay for the debts that they owe other people in societies. So you are betrothed to somebody who is older than you. Once you start growing and they see some features of a female in you, then they give you out for marriage. And these things are in very common communities that we live in, even though sometimes they are not discussed. So you see somebody who is pushed that they are going to stay with somebody to help take care of them, and you see them getting pregnant. You see, so because of the shame that is associated with it, the fact that you are pushing your own children, some communities do not discuss these things, but they happen. And because of how some of us are speaking against these things, even last 2 weeks, we rescued a child who was given out for marriage by her father, because supposedly the father owed the other elderly man who is about 60 years, and so the child was supposed to go and become the wife of that man. And some of our young people in the communities, through the Youth Action Movement, identified this case and reported to us. When we see these things, we are able to work with the national institutions, and we send other people around, and then we are able to deal with them.
I'm happy that this rescue happened. Magdalene,
yeah,
what happened in the case of this girl when you got news that had happened? Do you have shelters? And if you don't, are there families that are willing to take some of these young people in, who would offer them some support until we are able to, either reintegrate them back into their communities or send them back home?
Okay, so what we normally do as a youth wing of PPAG is that, like he said, when we identify some of these issues, we report to the office and then the necessary steps are taken. So sometimes we actually partner with other organizations who can come in to support in their own way. So, for example, if in the case of this girl, if she needs some shelter like you've just asked, we would have to go deeper into like more collaborations and see what other organizations or other focused or like-minded groups can do to support. And PPAG is a non-profit organization, and so we cannot do everything on our own, and for that matter, we work with other organizations who come through to help us. So at the end of the day, we ensure that the safety of this girl is assured, and then the safety of her family is also assured, so that she doesn't go back to square one.
Does the family have to face any consequences, especially Caesar, you said the father gave her out in this marriage? Is the father, to answer some questions at least?
Well, most of these cases, it's the situation or circumstances vary. So the response we actually get from the parents, it's crucial, it's important. But then, since you are the same causative agents in this case, so we don't think that if we involve you at a certain age and you are not being responsive, we don't have to continue our conversation with you, but our focus is to ensure that this girl is saved, and yeah, that is it.
Caesar, 20 years you've been doing this. What has been the highest point for you? Where do you get the satisfaction?
Yeah, so now I work with the PPAG, the mother organization, but also came through the ranks. I'm saying this deliberately to highlight that, like we said in the beginning, the Youth Action Movement was built to empower young people to speak for other young people who do not have voices, but also to act for them. And so the examples that we can give are there. There are many lives that have been impacted in terms of the programs we run has been marvelous for 20 years. But for us, what we also pride ourselves on is the capacities that we've developed. So if you go into so many national institutions, the National Population Council and other places that have to do with issues of sexual and reproductive health, you are likely to find somebody who finds their roots through the ranks that we have built their capacity. If you go into the international bodies like the UNFPA, if you go to UNICEF, even internationally, if you go to these bodies, you will find people whose roots are in the Youth Action Movement. And so we have be able to provide a space where we not just build people's capacity and knowledge, but we build them in terms of attitude to not just care about themselves, but the society we find ourselves in. How do young people become each other's keeper? How do we make sure that they become as passionate for the concerns of voiceless people as they are for themselves, so that we don't build a society of knowledgeable but very selfish individuals? But if we can get attitude in these people, the little knowledge can change our society. So we have been able to have that track record of young people who are passionate about society in our space. But also there are key elements of policy space, where over the years we've had a health system that focuses on the general population, headache, malaria, and all of that. But we also forget that young people form majority of the national population. And young people's challenges are not diabetes and hypertension. Their challenges are pregnancy. Their challenges are issues of STI. Their challenges are how do they come to an elderly doctor or nurse to tell them that they are having sex and they need protection. Those conversations, we don't have them. And in the Youth Action Movement, we have been able to create a space where we engage bodies like doctors and nurses. When trainings are being organized by the mother organization, the Planned Parenthood Association of Ghana, young people are given the platform to express to them what they think when they come to them and when they face them, so that the doctors and service providers are more friendly to young people and allow them to express themselves in a way that we can identify the challenges that exist and solve them. And so we've been able to engage other bodies to create that space, but also policies like the National Youth Policy, the Ghana Health Service, Adolescent Health Policy, and all of that, it has a reflection of the aspirations of young people because young people were involved. And it's because of the Youth Action Movement and other youth groups that it reflects what young people want to be done to them through these platforms and bodies. And so we've been in the space back and forth, and we've been able to create, I always like to cite the example of youth advisory boards. That is now very common. You see a lot of organizations say we are forming a youth advisory board so that young people can reflect their values. This is an idea that originates from the Youth Action Movement, where the Planned Parenthood Association of Ghana formed youth board for our young and wise centers and kept young people there to tell the organization what to do to serve young people better. So some of these achievements have been done all over the years, and we are still in it, and hopefully the next few years will even be more exciting.
Perhaps because we are having a youth-centered conversation, I would want to bring in the issue about the sanitary towels.
Okay.
What's the Youth Action Movement's position on the calls for removal of the taxes on the commodity, as against the caution, if I can put it that way, from the AGI, that if those are removed, local manufacturers would suffer?
Is it to me?
Both of you. Who wants to take it?
So let me take this. So a lot of the time, and I like to give scenarios. I like to give the scenario that maybe the one who sells coffin does not get excitement from death. Just maybe. Even though they want a market, they are not excited about deaths. So it's not as if when people die, then that person becomes excited. They also cry at funerals. I'm saying this because when we bring an issue on board that we are building a Ghana where young people are majority of the population, and these young people have also a majority of them being girls, their education and future is being suppressed because we have kept on unnecessary taxes on a product that is a necessity. What we want is a reduced cost so that the most deprived girl can go to school. What we want is a reduced cost for sanitary pads so that a girl does not give herself to men for sex to get a pad to go to school. If the AGI is bringing a business conversation on board that if you do this, businesses will collapse, that is not our place. The conversation is not ours. What we are advocating for, it is not business. We are advocating for lives. Reduce the cost of sanitary pad. What do? Will you be able to give AGI money to produce enough for Ghana and so that girls can get it and the prices will reduce? It's a question. Will you reduce the tax so that when we import because we are not able to produce, then the parts are not expensive? It is a government and business conversation. For us as the Youth Action Movement and PPAG, we want the prices reduced. However that goes, it's a business conversation. And I'm not saying the AGI is excited to see girls getting pregnant. That is why I started with that narrative. They give monies to organizations to do corporate social responsibility because they care about society. So I'm sure they are also very passionate about the fact that girls are dropping out. But they are also mindful of their businesses. So bring them to the table, let's have a conversation.
Nicely answered. We'll be getting out of here in a few minutes. What's the celebration going to focus on? Where is it happening? Is there a program, a series of program of activities? What's the focus?
Okay, thank you so much. So this year is actually the year we are celebrating our 20th anniversary. And the celebration doesn't end to the end of this year. So we have series of activities that we are doing. And this very interview is one of it. We launched the anniversary during our National Congress in Tamale. And after that, we've been able to do a press release also on the things we've done so far, child marriage and SGBV. And again, we have a couple of activities that we are supposed to embark on as branches. You know, we have a couple of branches under the youth action movements in the various zones. So we actually have 3 zones. We have the northern zone, middle zone, and then the southern zone. So Legon branch, Accra branch, and Cape Coast, and some other branches are part of the southern zone. And then when you go to Tamale, Tamale is part of the northern zone, and Kumasi branch is part of the middle zone. So we have about 19 branches in the country, and we have a couple of activities that each branch is supposed to partake or undertake in their various branches. So as time goes on, we keep doing it and we never quit. So these are some of the things we do.
Right.
Yeah.
Final words, Caesar, then we go.
Yeah, thank you. So, like I said in the beginning, for all the young people who are watching us, we are calling on you to look for our handles on the social media, get in touch and join. We are saying join not just because of yourselves, but we want to give a platform where you can have a better perspective about Ghana and you can contribute better to the development of our nation. Because where we are heading to, even though politics swallows a lot of the conversations, issues of sexual and reproductive health swallows too many young people in their dreams. And we know that we have a platform that can make you yourself as a person be better equipped to handle yourself, but also to identify the challenges other young people are facing and speak for reports and then get these things dealt with. Other than that, we build a nation and we can prosper as individuals, but we never have peace.
Caesar Kogozega.